Hey, we are here for the last video update of 2016 and the first preview of 2017. And I'm here with my good buddy and programmer friend, Nick.
Hi.
There's a video delay on Skype. We're excited to give everybody an update on what's going on with Archmage Rises. I just got back in the country, and yeah, let's try and do a 10-minute update video, Nick. This is our third attempt at doing a 10-minute update video. And the last two have been like 20 minutes, so here we go. First, I want to talk about 2016, and most importantly, I want to talk about the last build that we put out. We put it out on the 15th or 16th of December, and I want to apologize to everybody for that build. We put out a bad build, and the buck stops here. It was my fault. I'm sorry. We were rushing. That's the bottom line answer. I was in Tampa. I was about to get on a boat, go on a cruise with my family, something we had booked about 6 or 8 months ago, and we were trying to get the build out, and I'm in a hotel room at 2 a.m., and it's like, oh, I think it's good. I think we're good. And so I uploaded to Steam, and then I tested it the next day when I got onto the cruise ship, and it was like, oh, man. So how did that happen? That's we were rushing. That's kind of how that happened. So what are we going to do going forward, Nick?
We're going to do a little bit more testing, I would think.
Yep. Well, first of all, we're not going to rush like that. And second of all, we have proven now through a bad build that the game is bigger than we can just test through kind of an ad hoc way. So it's time to bring things to the next level and have proper test scripts and run through all the test cases. Not automated testing, but just manually doing all the test cases to the game to make sure that we have total coverage of all the features. Because me working at it from the hotel room and you working at it from Portland until 2 a.m. in the morning just didn't cut it. And so, yeah, it's a big game now, and yeah, that's what we have to do. So we're sorry to everybody who played a lousy build. We've pushed out 2 hotfixes already, and we have 1 more that is about to come. Hopefully that will reinstate your trust in our quality.
Right. To be clear, the issue was really with serialization. When you're loading a game up, it wouldn't save all of your information, and it would cause problems. So it was mostly around saving. If you didn't run into any bugs, that's why.
So it would take the reservation, but it wouldn't hold the reservation. For those who enjoy Seinfeld.
That's right.
So, yeah, we, oops. Okay, so leading into the next apology, so we put out a rough release date in like at Gen Con when we were there taking pre-orders and meeting lots of people, just online when we've been talking about the game. Everybody's asking when is Archmage Rise going to be done, and we said Q1 of 2017. And now Q1 of 2017 is about to begin in 2 days. We're recording this on the 30th of December. And so we're like, wow, yeah, that's not going to happen. And then everybody's going to say, yeah, we totally knew that wasn't going to happen. You bunch of jerks. You lied to us. And the short answer is, I guess we did. That's actually the short answer. The much longer answer is, yeah, we had some pretty big delays in 2016 as we were going on, especially since Gen Con. So I just want to kind of unpack that a little bit and let people know why I have updated both the website and Steam to say Q2 of 2017. We'll get into a little bit later how realistic that is, but I've already made those changes to the thing, and I just want to be upfront and tell people, like, hey, I've changed that. And so if you didn't notice that already, here we are telling you that, yeah, we changed that. So 3 kind of big things just to highlight the kind of delays that we've had with the game. The first was just going to Gen Con, and that was great, and there was tons of work and energy and everything that went into that. But actually, when we came back from Gen Con, it was a huge burnout for me especially. And so the month of August and early September was very low octane for me. And not for Nick though, right?
No, not at all.
So Nick kept plugging away, but yeah, I just had this big burnout from all the efforts that went into that. The other thing that got into that is that we have already told some people that we were talking to a really major publisher, like a big publisher in the industry, and we put a lot of effort into talking with them, and we made it to the highest rungs of their organization, and they had their big meeting in order to decide whether or not we would be they would be actually purchasing Archmage Rises and putting it under their banner and everything. And at the end of the day, decided that they were going to pass on Archmage, but it was really close that we were going to get this big publishing deal. And so there was a lot of work that went into that, and it's true that the team was kind of disheartened when we got that close and it didn't happen, and so there was a couple weeks kind of lost there where people kind of are getting their bearings again. But at the end of the day, we're building this game for you, and we're building it for us. This is what we want to be doing with our time, and the fact that publisher didn't decide to fund us, whatever, we're still going to press on and build this amazing role-playing game, and hopefully put a dent in the RPG universe. And so my greatest hope is that all the publishers out there just mine Archmage Rises for all kinds of great ideas, and we see all kinds of role-playing games that are awesome because of some of the work that we've done here. So that's my big crazy dream. And so anyways, there's a bunch of time that went into that. There were reviews, documents, demos, like all kinds of stuff that we did with them in order to do that. And it was totally a great experience. They were awesome, professional the whole way. I think we were professional the whole way. But at the end of the day, it just wasn't a good fit. And we're not going to be pursuing any other publishers. We're just continuing on the same path of self-publishing. So really appreciate everybody that's pre-ordered and given us some money along the way. That's really helping us to continue on the self-publishing path. And then the final thing in 2016 was just working on the Mage Tower. And if you haven't seen the previous update on the Mage Tower last time, it was supposed to be like a 3-week feature, kind of a smallish feature. And through development, I just decided, we could do better, and I wanted to do better, and it ended up taking 2 months and just being a whole lot bigger and better than we thought. Now, I think it's worth it, but I can't get that time back, right? So we went at least a month, if not more, over what we had thought on the schedule, right? So that just like pushes everything else out. And so but on the upside, Nick, you said when we were kind of talking about that earlier this week, you said that you like the fact that we're willing to make those kind of big choices, right? The choices for quality.
Yeah, I think you take the time to play a feature, and if it's not fun, then you take whatever time it needs to make it fun, and I definitely appreciate that.
Yeah, sometimes those calls are hard to make, but fortunately we're self-funded and we can make those calls. The only thing I can think would be worse is if we maybe did get the publishing deal and we have the schedule that we have to keep with them, and that creates some drama trying to argue back and forth. So anyway, that's how we lost a couple of months out of 2016, and why that is affecting our release date in 2017. So as we look forward to 2017. There's really kind of two approaches. This being the end of the year, it really makes me think kind of the big picture, like, am I going to be working on this thing for the rest of my life? When are we going to get this out? We're coming up to my 4th year of working on it. Nick is almost at a full year of working on it, right? So it's just time for kind of reflection and planning. And so that's what we've been doing this week. And so there's 2 approaches that I see for how we can do this. The first is to kind of keep doing what we have been doing of building some features, pushing out a release, build some more features, push out a release, like that kind of thing. And so that will ultimately lead to a better pre-alpha, right? Everybody right now is playing the pre-alpha on Steam, and if we keep doing that, you will keep getting a better and better and better pre-alpha on Steam. Or we don't do any more releases, and we just finish all the features that are in the hopper, right? All the systems and all that stuff, right? And stop working on those pushing releases out. Now, that goes for faster development, getting that end date sooner, but is it necessarily a better product? Hard to say. It's hard to A/B test something like that. You can't take the same game and make it two different ways, right? So, so the big thing that's been going through my mind is, like, just on this last release, if we look at the number of man hours or person hours that went into that, it's at least 2 weeks of work in order to push out a release. And my initial plan was to be trying to push out a release every kind of month or so. We've never actually done it, but that was the idea up here, was to push one out every month or so. And, if it costs 2 weeks of man hours in order to do that's pretty expensive in order to be doing that. And so Nick and I have been talking to some other game devs and my wife, and just trying to figure out what would be the best approach for 2017. Over at Vlambeer, the kind of creative discontent that they have with each other has proven to be good. They have, there's some real drama there between Rami and JW, and Nick and I have a bit of that too, where we're just coming at it from totally different angles, and we argue about what is the best approach, and how can we figure out between us what the best approach is. And so that's why we've decided that we're going to do releases every other month in 2017, and really starting at the beginning of the year. The next release will be in February, and then one in early April, and then one in early June. So that gives us kind of every other month. It's not too much on us in terms of cost of pushing out these releases, and should give you something good. The movement on the game will be big changes for those that are playing the pre-release. The second thing that we're going to do is we're going to do videos every week. We're going to try and keep them 10 minutes. I see right now that we're at 13, so we suck at that. But at least we'll do these videos once a week, and you can see what's going on in the game, decide whether you want to play a recent release or not, but at least know everything that's going on. And so now we can move on to what are we working on. So what are we working on, Nick? What are you working on?
What I'm working on right now, I'm working on basically making the game run better. So we're working on map, making sure that thing runs faster, fixing bugs, and some of the last serialization issues.
Yeah, the last build that we put out still, even with the hotfixes, still has some problems saving and loading, and so we have to get another hotfix out, and that requires rewriting how we do the inventory management. Right before we did release, we decided to take two systems and merge them into one because it's better for the code base and everything going forward. But it was a giant mistake to do that right before release, and so now we have to go and actually rewrite that, make sure it's solid, and then push that out as a hotfix. So coming in the next release, like in February, we are going to be working on better dungeons. So the dungeons as is were really just the tip of the iceberg, and I'm now going to go and revisit that. I've been reading the D&D 5th edition Dungeon Master's Guide, and there's just a lot of really interesting stuff in there that really kind of tweaked my mind, and I was like, yeah, that's totally the right way to do. So you're going to see more of a history to the dungeons. They're going to make more sense. They're still going to be randomized, but they're going to be randomized with a purpose, randomized with a history, and so that should be far more compelling as to what you encounter when you go in a particular dungeon. The next thing I'm specifically working on is the economy, and when I did the last video update and we talked about the Mage Tower, we had to get some version of the economy out there. We knew it wasn't ready and wasn't done, but we had to have something to support the Mage Tower, and so we gave you what we kind of had, what was stable anyway. And so we need to go and revisit that. And two of the big things that are really missing there is having it be geography based. So looking at the geography around a particular city will determine what kind of things it produces and consumes. And the second thing is having the AI traders going around and traveling the roads between the towns and possibly getting waylaid and all that. So right now, because the AI traders aren't working, if you go and buy a bunch of stuff from a town and then go away and come back, it doesn't really replenish, or because they are probably relying on some resource that hasn't been imported into the town, and so then that causes everything to fall apart, right? Basically, there's all this scarcity throughout the world, and so you can't actually play the game terribly long without the economy coming to a grinding halt because nobody's trading with anybody. So anyway, if you only play 20 minutes and just kind of check out the Mage Tower, you probably won't notice that problem, but if you're trying to play for a longer period of time, you'll see that's a real issue. So the next thing was Nick kind of already talked about was we're going to be rewriting the maps. The map code is easily a year old, and it just really needs some TLC, and it needs to be Maps 2.0 basically. How we generate the cities needs to be much smarter and better. Like stop stuffing them in the middle of the ocean would be a good start. And they're always on the edges of the map too. I don't get that. They're always like the very top hex or the very far left hex or something. That just doesn't make any sense to me. So anyways, we're gonna make it smarter for that. But even the roads, how the roads are generated, it's going to be much more realistic. So small towns connecting to large towns, and maybe that's it. And so you have to find your way to other roads and road systems. Right now, all the roads connect. Every single town is connected to every other town through at least one road. So, and then the next thing with that rewrite is the ability to put in seasons, because time is very important in this game and the passage of time. So you'll be able to see that in the seasons. Finally, by rewriting all this, we'll be able to have better performance and therefore larger maps. And we did push out larger maps in this build in December than the previous one in September, but it's going to be even bigger maps and more dense, filled with stuff. And finally, we are working on the campaign setting, and the campaign setting is kind of a weird animal. How do I describe it? It's the world in which Veilon, the continent that you begin on, or maybe it's not entirely a continent, it's the land that you play in is called Veilon, and it sits in a particular world and with a particular backstory and lore and everything that you would expect in a role-playing game campaign setting. And we're actually going to be making that available to you. Those of you who are on the newsletter will receive a free intro copy, something about the campaign setting. And the reason the campaign setting is important is because it'll give you the backdrop for why the world is a certain way that it is, the kind of features that you can do within the world. So I'll just give you two quick examples. One is the background talks about the Conclave. Where did the Conclave come in? Why does the Conclave exist? How does it operate? And what is your role when you start playing the game within that Conclave? And you'll find that there's rebels who don't believe in the Conclave system at all, and they are hidden, and they may actually have the most powerful magic. And again, in that background campaign setting, you'll see why they have the most powerful magic. And so when you are playing the game, you can go and try to find those rebels. And what do you do with those rebels? Do you join them and maybe get their super powerful spells? Or do you turn them into the Conclave? Do you join the Conclave and try to become head of the Conclave? These are the kind of like self-directed goals that you can make. And all of the background campaign setting and history kind of makes that make sense. And so those are just some of the examples of things in the game that are tied back to the campaign setting. So that's it. Hey, look, we're at 20 minutes again for our 10-minute video. Anything else to say there, Nick, before we sign off?
Not really. I'm really excited about where the game is. We've got a long way to go, but I think every time we release, I'm at least having a lot more fun playing it. We hear everything that you say. Even I have all the notes from Gen Con still in my email. Half of them have been implemented, so please let us know what you think about the videos or about the game. We hear everything. We discuss everything that comes through, so we're listening. Yeah,
great point. So send us feedback, whether it's on the website, on Steam, on YouTube. We read it all. We talk about it. We may not respond to you right away. One reason was when we pushed out the release, I went onto a cruise ship and had no internet for 10 days. But now I'm back and reading that stuff. And again, we're talking about it. So more about that in our next update. But for now, I guess it's farewell 2016 and Happy New Year 2017 to everybody. Bye.